Hey everyone, it's Caitlin and welcome to another video. I am back again in my kitchen showing you guys how to make an easy vegan recipe as part of my January series on easy vegan recipes. I haven't come up with a name for it yet. Maybe I will by the time this is live. But anyways, today I'm going to show you how to make granola. I love granola. I have a lot of different granola recipes on my blog. Some of them are a little fancier than others. I will link all of those below if you want to check them out. But today I'm just going to show you guys how to make a basic granola. I think granola is a tool that should be in everyone's kitchen repertoire because it's a great way to use up leftover nuts and seeds and miscellaneous pantry items, and it's also super easy to customize based on your own taste and preferences. So if you're uncomfortable with being in the kitchen and making your own recipes, I think this is a great place to start. So we're just going to be making a pretty basic granola today. I'm going to be adding some cinnamon to mine because I love cinnamon. But like I said, this recipe is very customizable. This recipe, as well as my other granola recipes, are going to be linked below. How many times have I said granola and recipe in this intro? Actually, don't count. Don't let me know because then I'm going to get embarrassed. But yeah, let's just get right into it. So we already have our oven on to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. And for granola, you need a mixture of wet ingredients and dry ingredients. And wet ingredients, we need some sort of fat to make our granola a little bit crunchy. And we also need some sweetener in order to make it sweet. So for sweetener, I like to use maple syrup. You can use another liquid sweetener like agave, but I really like maple syrup. I think it gets that nice golden crunchy crispiness from the maple syrup as well as the sweetness. And I mean, who doesn't love the flavor of real maple syrup? Do use the real stuff though. We don't want any of that fake gross stuff. And then for our fat, I like to use nut butter. I said in my last video where I made some vegan banana bread that I typically try to avoid oil. It's a personal preference, and that is because oil is not as nutritious as a whole food form. So oil is like refined sugar. It's just stripped of all the nutrients and it's just pure fat. Whereas when you use nut butter, you get in fiber and extra vitamins and nutrients and things like that. So we are going to be using tahini today, but realistically with granola, you can use any nut butter you'd like. Again, just make it a natural nut butter. And also I would say the runnier your nut butter is, the better, because you do want it to be as close to that oil texture as possible. So I really do like to use tahini. But a runny almond butter, peanut butter, sunflower butter, if you have a nut allergy, will work as well. So then we're going to actually add in our seasonings before we whisk these together. And I like to do that so they're more evenly distributed throughout the mix when we mix in our granola. So to start out, we're going to add salt. And I just want to say, adding salt to your sweet recipes makes them 10,000 times better. That was one of my early mistakes when I first started making recipes. I wouldn't add salt to a sweet recipe, but salt in and of itself just helps to enhance the flavor. So I like to use Himalayan pink salt. I would recommend that, or sea salt for these recipes, but we are going to add salt. It makes it so much better, whether you like salty and sweet desserts or not. Even just adding a pinch of salt will make this taste so much better. I know I've already said that, but really guys, like, salt is key, okay? You can never go wrong with salt except when you add too much. We're also going to add some vanilla extract. I like to add that because again, it adds a nice sweetness, and vanilla just smells so amazing. So I like to do vanilla extract. And then we're also adding cinnamon. I'm obsessed with cinnamon, so I'm adding like half a tablespoon. But you can also add any other spices of your choice, like cardamom, nutmeg. You can make like a gingerbread granola, a turmeric granola. I have a cacao granola on my blog. So you can really do whatever you like. But now we're just going to whisk all of this together. And it is going to get a little bit thicker just from the nut butter and the maple syrup. And your mixture may look a little bit thicker as well, just in case, especially if you are not using tahini, because my tahini is very runny. But I do think that is helpful in order to get those granola clusters that we all know and love. So we got our whisk. We're all done with that. I would recommend using a whisk just because I find it easier, but you can use a fork if you like. We're gonna set that aside, return our spatula to the bowl, and now we're going to add in our granola ingredients. So again, with granola, anything goes. You do need a base for granola, so we're going to be using rolled oats, which is great because we also use those oats in our banana bread recipe, which I posted earlier this year, which I will link right up. I think it's in this side here. So we're using rolled oats. I would recommend rolled oats versus instant oats. You're going to need about 2 cups. Instant oats just don't get as crunchy, and I like the texture of rolled oats. If you can get thick rolled oats, I personally think that's even better. Makes them even crispier. And then you can add in whatever crunchy toppings you'd like, and this is where I think it's great if you have a nut allergy or you're allergic to a certain nut. You can just leave that nut out and substitute something else instead. The only thing that really matters is the total volume of the wet ingredients, which we added to the bowl, to our dry ingredients. So you need 2 cups of rolled oats, and then I have half a cup of the rest of my toppings. So I'm going to be using some coconut flakes, some pumpkin seeds, some walnuts, and some slivered almonds. So that's going to be my granola crunchies, but you can do whatever you'd like. Maybe you want to do double the almonds, or you want to do no almonds at all, or you don't like coconut, so you're gonna add in some pecans instead, or you just have a package of, I don't know, what's another nut? Macadamia nuts sitting in your pantry that you just want to get rid of. Just add those instead. It's so easy, super easy to customize. So now all that I'm doing is I'm just using the spatula to get to the bottom of the bowl where all that wet stuff is, and I'm folding it through the dry mix, and we're just going to keep mixing this together until all of the pieces have a nice coating and everything is well incorporated. It also already smells amazing, but that's another bonus of granola. When you bake it, oh my gosh, your house, cheapest air freshener, well maybe not the cheapest, but one of the best smelling air fresheners that you can have, and then you get the added bonus of food afterwards. So this looks pretty good in terms of granola texture and consistency. So now we're just going to spread this onto a baking tray. I am using standard baking tray, and I like to line mine with a silicone mat. I do think that that does help with the caramelization, and this is great. Instead of parchment paper, you don't have to use oil first of all, but instead of parchment paper, it is reusable. So you're not throwing parchment paper out every time you bake. I got mine on Amazon, super cheap. I'll link it below. So then you're just going to add all of your granola to this tray, and then we're going to spread it out evenly across the baking tray. And now the secret is, if you like clusters in your granola, to press the granola down actually into the baking tray. So this kind of helps to compact the granola. So this is going to help the granola to stick together. If you don't care for large chunks or clusters in your granola, you can just spread it evenly around the tray and pop it in the oven. But I like to do this. I think it makes it easier to control how big your clusters are too. And we are going to flip this, but you're still going to be able to preserve some of these larger clusters that are going to be formed now by pressing it into the baking tray. And then now we're going to pop this into the oven. And when you put this in the oven, I do want to say, make sure it's in the bottom rack of your oven. It helps to make the granola more crispy. So if you need to move your oven rack, wear a mitt, be safe, just transfer it all the way to the lowest setting and then pop your granola in there. So we're going to put this in for 20 minutes, then we're going to take it out and we're going to flip it. And like I said, you can carefully flip it so you still preserve some of those large clusters. You don't have to flip it exactly. It's more like just mixing the granola around. So the bottom side comes to the top and the top side gets some of the caramelization from the silicone mat. Then we're gonna pop it back in the oven for a few minutes, and then we can add our optional toppings. Okay, it has been about 27-ish minutes, and I think the granola looks nice and good. As you can see, it's super golden, and we got some nice thick big clusters as well as little clusters. And if you don't like the big clusters, you can always break them up into smaller clusters too. But now we're going to add in the final ingredient, which is kind of optional, which is fruit. I know some people don't like fruit in their granola and some people do. So you don't have to add this. This is perfectly delicious and crunchy on its own. But I do like to add dried fruit. So I'm using a mixture of dried cranberries and cherries just because that's what I had left over in my pantry, but you could literally use any dried fruit you want, like mango, mulberries, golden berries, raisins, or leave it out. You can also add chocolate chips instead. Either way, as soon as the granola comes out and it's hot, that's when you want to add it to the tray, because this is going to sort of melt the sugar, I guess, in the fruit, and it will help it stick to the granola clusters a little bit more. You can also do this with chocolate chips if you'd like. Everything is better with chocolate, I mean, but again, you'd want to add them immediately to the granola. I have a recipe for a peanut butter cup granola and chocolate hazelnut granola on my blog, so those will be linked below. But the chocolate's gonna melt as soon as it hits the granola. So now it's your choice of what to do. If you want, you can stir it around with the granola and then all of your granola pieces will get like a nice chocolatey coating. Or you can leave it on and just let it sit on the granola wherever it falls, and as it melts, it will stick to it, and then you just let it sit on the tray until it hardens again, and you'll have chocolate chips in your granola as well, but it'll be sticking to the clusters. So now we just need to let this sit and cool for a bit, and then we are ready to serve it. I mean, you could theoretically eat this now, nothing wrong with warm granola, but I prefer to serve mine with like almond milk or yogurt, so I'm gonna wait till it cools off. So now that our granola has cooled, it is time to enjoy it. One thing I forgot to mention earlier that I do want to mention is that when the granola comes right out of the oven, it actually may feel a little bit soft, but you'll know that it's done because it will be golden brown and crispy on both sides. But it will actually harden a lot as it cools, because this was slightly tender when it came out of the oven, but I think the mic will pick this up, as you can hear now. Let's see. It's very crispy. You can eat this granola however you like. You could eat it like a classic cereal and crumble it up, serve it with some fresh fruit, maybe some almond milk or some other non-dairy milk of your choice. Or what I like to do as well is put it on top of vegan yogurt. A lot of grocery stores sell vegan yogurt nowadays. Some other creative ways I like to have granola are on top of a roasted sweet potato. I'll make like a sweet potato boat. You could crumble it up on top of a smoothie bowl, make a banana sushi. I actually have a recipe video for that. Just use it anywhere. You can even actually use it in salads if you like the savory sweet combination, or I also just like to eat it straight up as a snack. So let's give it a little crunch test. I mean, this is like all my favorite flavors in one because I love cinnamon and tahini and maple syrup, and it's the perfect amount of salt, so it's subtle. But it just really, I love granola. I love how crunchy it is. It's a great, I feel like a lot of times I crave crunchy foods for snacks, but if I'm trying to eat like on the healthier side, I don't really want to eat potato chips, and sometimes fruit just doesn't cut it. So if you're craving something sweet and crunchy, I would definitely recommend granola. Oh, another thing I wanted to recommend is that you store your granola in like a glass container or a jar. Even a Ziploc bag would be fine. You can store it at room temperature. For me, it honestly lasts like up to a month, but I have noticed that if you have the fridge space, because I know some of us do not, I do not most of the time. If you have the fridge space, store your granola in the fridge. It actually helps keep the granola fresh longer, and it makes it extra crunchy, especially if you're putting it on cold food anyways. I would definitely recommend storing it in the fridge. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to check out the full granola recipe down below, as well as all of the other granola recipes that I have on my blog. I definitely have a lot, but what can I say? I love granola. I think it's really easy to make. And you guys should comment below what your favorite granola combination is, and see if you could modify this recipe with your own favorite flavor combinations and make your own granola, because that's what this is all about. I want you guys to have fun in the kitchen like I have fun in the kitchen. I don't think food and cooking should be something that should be feared or stuff like that. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this series. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave a comment down below with future suggestions for more videos you would like for me to film in this demo style. If you like this demo style, if not, you can just refrain from leaving a comment. I mean, okay, fine, it's a free world. You can leave a comment if you want, but please be nice. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, whatever time of day it is for you, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye now.